Hello, welcome to Pendulum Friday here at Soulprint. Thank you so very much for joining us today. For any new subscribers, welcome. And, I'm so grateful for not only the fact that you're watching it, but the comments and the thumbs up and all of that. It's very much appreciated. All right, let's get cracking here. Um, Sorry. Here we go. Let's get cracking here and see what we've got this week. I scanned through, so there's some really interesting questions here. All right. The first couple are actually Canadian. So somebody wanted to know if the Liberal Party of Canada will move into the next election with a new female leader. So that would mean that Justin Trudeau decides not to run for re-election again, and they have sort of a leadership campaign, and then somebody you know gets chosen to be leader of the party, which would then them into the election. Here we go. Okay, so let's start with some basics. At this point, has Justin Trudeau made up his mind about whether or not he's actually going to run in the next election? As of right now, he has not. I know I looked at this a while ago, and it was sort of like he was really torn because on the one hand he felt like there was still some stuff he wanted to accomplish, but on the other hand, he was becoming more and more aware of sort of the stress and strain that it was causing on his family unit. Um, so since he hasn't decided, it's kind of hard to go from there. But let's go forward. Is there the potential for a female leader to be the new leader of the Liberal Party in terms of and in time for the next election? Oh, right. So that's a yes. All right. Will Ann Coulter's horrible comments about Tim Walz's son result in a loss of votes for Republicans? No. I think most people who would have found those comments ugly and rude and all the other, names you want to call it. I think most of those people had already pulled away. So, they were the ones who were going to vote Democrat because they couldn't stomach the idea of voting for Trump, or um, had become independent. So I don't think he's going to actually lose any significant numbers. I mean, there may be a few here and there, but I don't think enough to really shift anything. Will Rupert Murdoch ever have any karma catching up with him for the damage and harm he unleashed on Western democracies? Yes. Um, it very much feels like the karma is going to take place in different lifetimes in different ways. Um, I, I don't know that there's going to be much that happens at this time. If you can hear scratchy sounds, it's Atlas chewing on a bone, but he's happy, so we're just going to let him keep on chewing. The FBI is investigating after multiple women, known as the maggot ladies, allegedly snuck into a hotel and contaminated a dining hall meant to serve breakfast to some of the DNC delegates. I have not heard about this. Um, you would think that it would be a much bigger story, but let's see. Um, did this attempted contamination actually take place? Looks like a yes. Will these women be exposed and held accountable? So most of you know that when the pendulum just stops moving like that, it just doesn't, it means that there isn't an answer that's been determined yet. Sometimes it just means it's none of our business, but you know. Did JFK Jr. really have a brain worm? Yes. Yep, he did. Will Georgia Governor Brian Kemp remove the Republican members of the Georgia Board of Elections? So the last I heard, he had referred it to, I guess, his attorney general to find out if he actually had the authority to do that. So let's maybe start there. Will it be determined that Brian Kemp has the authority to be able to step in and remove some members from the Georgia Board of Elections? Okay, so right now that's a yes. And will he do so? And right now that's a less. And for those of you who have been around for a while, you know that our guy Marcus lives in Georgia. And every little while, once in a while, we get together and we do a video because he's able to sort of bring a more personal insight into what's going on, particularly in his county and that area. There's going to be another one of those coming up. Well, I'm thinking about it. If there is anybody in Florida who sort of has their finger on the pulse a little bit, or really, really keeps up with kind of current events and current news stories, um, and you're kind of interested, if you could reach out to me and let me know, because I'm starting to feel like Florida may very, very well end up being in play in this election. Um, and if that's the case, I would love sort of some local color on that and to see, what's going on and how people are reacting and responding to that. Will North Carolina go blue and vote for Harris in the election? Yep, that's a yes. Telegram CEO Paul Duvreau was arrested in France on organized crime charges. Elon Musk was wanting him freed. He has now been released on bail. Um, and is Elon Musk afraid that he may very well be? Yes. So some of the practices, this is the way I understand it, some of the practices that go um, on this Telegram site, which I guess is sort of like, a Twitter or something like that. But some of what is acceptable in one place is not acceptable in other places because of privacy laws or other, controlling laws. And so he went to France and there was an outstanding warrant for him apparently because his platform is doing things that are running afoul of the laws of France. So that's what happened there. Um, and it's sort of this it's he would be kind of, I don't know what, the Russian Ukrainian version of Elon Musk. So one has to wonder if Elon Musk is getting a little concerned that something like that would happen to him. Yeah, it's a bit of a concern, but understand that Elon Musk is so full of ego that he really sees himself as above the law. And so he doesn't, it concerns him, but he is, it could never happen to me. That he's, is there information embedded in the Telegram app that shows Putin and Netanyahu colluded when it came to the invasion of Israel? Let's start with this question. Did Putin and Netanyahu collude when it came to the invasion of Israel? Yes. So is there information embedded in the Telegram app that shows that? And that's also a yes. Do a lot of Trump supporters know? No, he's a huge liar, but not care as long as they can win and bully lefties. All right. One of the things that we've sort of figured out over the years, and it's becoming more and more almost prevalent, is that what Trump is an entertainer. Um, Maybe he even fancies himself a actor. I'm not so sure, but everything Trump does is about um, the image. It is about he, he sorry, his focus is things like how large crowds are, because he equates them to like the Nielsen ratings, how many people are watching me. Um, and so a lot of his supporters understand that a lot of what's coming out of his mouth is just crap, but they're entertained by him. And that's, in a lot of cases, all that matters. Um, so the answer to that is no, they don't care. So let's just double check. Do Trump supporters who acknowledge that he does not tell the truth, is that does that concern them at all? And no, no, it does not. Do they continue to see Trump as an entertainer? Yes. I'm just going to ask this one too. So there have been a lot of people leaving Trump's rallies. I mean, there's all these videos of these people walking out while he's still yammering away on stage. Is that in part because it's sort of the same old, and people are, they're losing interest because it's like watching reruns? Is that part of what's going on there? Like he has no new material. Yeah, so they're going in there and they're not being entertained to the degree and to the level that they feel they should be. Um, and so, and he doesn't make a lot of sense these days anyways. Okay. Somebody said I read an updated Washington Post article. This article goes way back to the first whistleblower on 45 refusing to send Zelensky arms to protect against Russia, and many quid pro quo, which leading to the first impeachment. Will a second look at this actually prove that 45 should have been impeached? Okay, so the first impeachment was about um, election interference, and the Ukraine part of it was sort of wrapped up in um, in that impeachment process, because it was about the phone call, right, that he made, and saying, you give me this, I'll give you that. So he should have been impeached. He was impeached, but he was never convicted of it, because that's what happens when, a whole bunch of Republicans just decided to do what he wanted as opposed to what was right. Um, so I'm sorry, I'm not actually understanding with clarity, because he was, and any second look or third look at this point in time really it feels sort of like splitting hairs. You know what I mean? Like it done, um, and this is the thing, and this is something that we're all going to have to spend a little bit of time wrapping our head around. Not everybody who did wrong things is going to end up charged or convicted or punished. Even people who did wrong things and end up being charged and charged and convicted and punished are in all likelihood not going to get charged for every single thing they did. Is that fair? Probably not. Does the Department of Justice literally have the manpower, the energy, or the focus to go after every single person for every single infraction? They don't. And so, one of the things we all have to start coming to terms with is that sometimes you just have to say, okay, that is not the way I think it should go. I don't think that's right. But I have to accept that this is what is going to be happening for that person on the earth. And then I have to trust that karma will take care of the rest. Because there was so much, there's so much corruption, there was so much that went wrong that, you know, it's not all going to be corralled into one big finding. It's just not. I mean, you know, it's like having 2,000 people at your wedding and thinking that the bride and groom are going to actually be able to talk to every single person. Right? I mean, it's just too much. Um, Interesting analogy, but that's the one I'm using. Does Ivanka Trump wish her dad would stop his lying drama? Well, yeah. She's doing her level best to stay removed. Does Ivanka feel that she and possibly Jared have already paid a significant price for their roles and their behavior in the White House with 45? Yes. I mean, apparently they have just been ostracized like everywhere. New York doesn't want them, Florida doesn't want them. Um, and so when we see her slash them not sort of cozying up to Trump these days, there's a reason they're trying to keep their distance. I don't I don't know that it's ultimately going to work. I mean, I suspect somewhere down the line, it's possible somebody's going to look into Jared Kushner and the $2 billion or whatever it was he got. But for right now, that's where it's at. Okay, so for the Butler, Pennsylvania shooting, where Trump was holding a campaign rally, question: did Trump have a bag of fake blood behind his ear and punctured it when the gun went off? So the gun went off, there was a sound, and he went like this. And so some people are saying that there was something tucked behind his ear, and when he hit, it then splattered over his face, and that's why it looked like, he was bleeding. Um, I don't know. Did Donald Trump have a bag of fake blood behind his ear? Right now, Pendulum is saying no. Was his ear damaged? Did his ear actually suffer any injury? Okay, there's a small yes. Was the blood that was seen on his face as a result of an injury that was sustained during that rally? Yes. And is that why local police keep saying that the Secret Service was not working with them? Were the Secret Service in on whatever went on that created the injury for Trump? In terms of, were they complicit as opposed to they just weren't doing their job or there just wasn't enough manpower? I'm getting a no. Um, this next question, I'm going to tell you what it is, but I'm not going to answer it or ask it. Do you see autism involved with Barron or any other mental health diagnosis? I'm just staying away from that. I did a reading on Barron this past week. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Um, and he, he carries a lot. You know, he very much is a reflection of the people who raised him. And I'm sure that there may or may not be some issues, but I'm just of the opinion that he's not the politician and some things are just invasive. And so that's kind of where that goes. Um, do you see any health issues with Tim Walz after he and Kamala get into office? Okay, so any significant health issues for Tim? That's a no. Um, what has happened is that him, his wife, his family have, they're showing me this energetically, have now been placed under, within the umbrella of divine protection. Okay, so um, as of right now, there's there's security there. He's being protected. And that would include not only physical, like, from an attack, but also for any kind of significant health issue. Did you notice? This is just really interesting to me. When Kamala Harris came out to accept her nomination at the DNC, I was sort of surprised that she was wearing like navy as opposed to like white, because there was a lot of white. It was part of the theme that was going on, or some other color. It wasn't until you saw the picture of the four of them, with their holding each other's hands, and you realized they were all flipping wearing the same blue. The color was almost a dead match for everyone. The guy's ties were the same color or within small variations. And so what it did was sort of like subconsciously, it created a wall. It created something that was sort of impenetrable. And so it was a really clever sort of subliminal display of strength and unity. I thought it was just fascinating. I don't know if anybody else sort of picked that up or how they reacted to it, but I was like, that's so interesting that she chose that color. And then it was like, now I understand why she chose that color, because they all are in unity. The four of them are absolutely in unity with each other. It's very cool. Jack Smith has come out with another indictment. So this is a superseding indictment to the charges in DC. So Um, this has to do with his behavior um, around January 6th, pretty sure. So, will he and Judge Chutkin be able to get their cases going again? Yeah, yeah, because what has happened, there we go. What has happened is that um, remember a little while ago, she had asked her something and the lawyers needed to sort of answer her or file something by a certain date. And then Jack went, approached her and said, no, no, I need more time. So now we understand that the reason he needed more time was because he had a new, um, goodness, what are they called? The things that get impaneled, the secret, um, sorry, head went blank, but you know what I'm talking about, right? The group of people that go together and then the, y the prosecutors basically present them their case, and then it's up to these people to say, "Yes, there's a charge there," or, "No, there isn't," okay? So he had impaneled a new group of people, and what they did was they went back over the evidence and only removed the stuff that very specifically pertained to, um things that could have been wrapped up, for example, in official conduct, like his conversations with um, other government officials. But all of the other stuff, that's still there. So this thing is going to be able to move ahead. Is it likely to, uh, go forward? Um, is it likely to go forward before the election? No. Is it likely to move forward very, very shortly after the election? Yes. Is Trump going to be in a position after the election to squash any and all of the legal challenges around him? Will he be able to do that post election? No. And of course, he can't do that if he's not in the White House. Okay. Um, did Rudy Giuliani really go missing? Okay. So no. This is not, so what happened was he failed to appear at some sort of a court date. And so that he ended up actually, I think, being charged with, failure to attend or whatever that's called. He's done this before. He's done this several times where there's a court date and he just doesn't want to show up for it, and he just doesn't. Contempt. Then he gets charged with contempt. But he's done this apparently with the bankruptcy thing. He's done it several times, and so this is just one of the things he does. He just sort of says, "I'm not going to go to that, and I don't really care." So, no, did he go missing? No, he wasn't missing. He was just not attending what he was supposed to attend. Will Pete Buttigieg become Secretary of State? And there's no answer yet. I think it's just a little bit too early. I think what's going on internally within the campaign is they're starting to put together some sort of ideas or broad lists for some significant position. So, Secretary of State, um, Attorney General, right? But they're nowhere near um, where they should be in order to start actually eliminating people and making really clear cut decisions about that. So it's just too early to answer the question. Will Judge Merchan's 9/18, so September 18th, sentencing of Trump be delayed until after the election? I'm getting a yes on that. That's kind of shitty. Did you hear that Jim Jordan has now issued a subpoena for Judge Marchand's daughter to, attend, I guess, the House Oversight Committee or whatever the heck they are, um, because the company she works for has done some consulting work for some Democrats, apparently, and including something for Kamala Harris. And so somehow that, in kind of a twisted, scrambly way in Republicans' heads, somehow then means that Judge Marchand needs to remove himself from the case. Sometimes their stupidity is just mind-numbing. Um, the Trump campaign held an event at Arlington National Cemetery. Isn't that disgusting? This is against the law, and there was some sort of altercation between Trump and staffers and the cemetery staff. Will charges be filed? At this time, no. And you know what? This goes back to what we were talking about earlier, where there's just that sense of not every single thing is going to be addressed. It just it can't be. Um, there's too much. And so you try to get them on the big stuff, and a lot of the other stuff just sort of goes away. But you know what? I mean, I think he was trying to push back against some of the unbelievably disrespectful comments that he had made about, the people who were buried at Arlington, because they were just, suckers for doing that, for having military service, and even worse ones because they died. Um, he was trying to, I think, pull himself back from all of the suckers and loser comments. And all he ended up doing was once again, in brilliant and blinding fashion, once again showed the world how incredibly, incredibly disrespectful he is of, well, just everything. Okay. Thank you very, very much for being here. I hope you've enjoyed this. It's fun doing it. Don't forget to continue to put your questions in the comment section below. And it's the weekend, so take good care. Do something fun for yourself and somebody else, and enjoy. And oh my God, like next weekend, we're at Labor Day, for goodness sakes. I don't even know how that happened. Anyways, until next time, take care and be well. We'll see you soon. Bye bye.